Hey guys, welcome to a brand new video on my channel, Makes Movies. If you are new to this channel, this is basically where I talk to you guys about my passion for movies. This goes from collections, hauls, reviews, and today's video, so let's get into it. Okay, so this is a couple of days late, but here it is. So this is my favourite movie from each year that I have been alive, part 1. Now, the reason why I'm saying it's part 1 is because this is all live action movies. Every year, there's always an animated film and a live action film that I truly love. So I thought instead of trying to pick which one I want the most, I thought I'll do a live action list and then I will do a part 2 where I talk about the animated list. The animated one might go up sort of like the day after this live action one, which is today. Or it might go up a couple of days later. I still haven't figured it out yet. I'm just trying to work around the shifts that I'm currently doing, and yeah. So this is from 1995 to 2023. So of course 2023, we are still not over the year yet. So this could change in a future list potentially. Because I might do this every year where I pick a different film, because there are a lot of films from certain years where there is multiple live action films that I truly enjoyed, or there's multiple animated ones. So for example, in 2002, Lilo and Stitch and Treasure Planet both came out in the same year, which are my two absolute favourite Disney films. So I might do it sort of like every couple of years maybe, or every year when it comes to my birthday I might do a new list. So as of right now, this is where it stands. So some of the years was quite hard because, like I said, there's multiple films that I truly enjoyed in that year, but some were like automatic. I knew that. So let's get into it. Surprisingly, I've got them all on physical, apart from one of the films that I've had to borrow from off my mum's collection. But yeah, so let's get into it. So starting off with 1995, and that is Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. Pet Detective came out the year before. And then the following year, we got the sequel, which was an absolutely amazing sequel set in nature, and I really enjoy that film. It's so funny. And I might even watch it today, actually, because I'm in a Jim Carrey kind of mood today. Then in 1996, we got Scream. Yes, my absolute favourite horror movie of all time. Everybody knows this. And of course, I had to show off this amazing steelbook. You will see the Scream series pop up quite a few times. Apologies, but it's just the way it is. But yes, so 1996, this was my absolute favourite movie of the year. Then we go on to 97, and that is Titanic, the epic 3-hour film about the ship going into hitting an iceberg. But with a romance added into it. You know, you've got to add a bit of romance to a film like this. But no, this is one of the many films that made me fall in love with movies in the first place. So of course, when it came to 97, as soon as I saw this was on the list, I was like, yep, have to include it on the list, because it's just, honestly, I still try and watch this every year because I love the movie so much. I could probably quote it word for word as well, but there you go. Next one is 98. This is one of the ones that I did struggle to pick which one I wanted, but then I went, you know what, I'm going to go for the one that when I saw the list on Letterboxd, I had to go for it. So for 98, we went with Small Soldiers. I haven't watched this in a couple of years. I need to give this a rewatch, actually, because I remember this being weird but funny at the same time. I know this has got people like Kristen Dunst in it and Tommy Lee Jones, so definitely worth a rewatch. And then we finish off the 90s decade with 99, and that is The Mummy. Of course, I had to include Brendan Fraser's The Mummy in this. Yet again, like with the Scream one, as soon as I saw 1999, and this was one of the films that popped up on the list, bang, had to pick that one automatically, because this is one of my absolute favourite movies of all time. So now we're going into the decade of the 2000s, and the first one is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Absolutely love this film. My favourite Christmas film. I have to watch this the 1st of December, throughout December, and on the 31st of December, because you can't really watch this any other time. But I think I might break that tradition this year, because I feel like watching all of these films and sort of like watch it develop as the years go on. So I might watch this in the next couple of days. I might break tradition. But no, this is one of my absolute favourite Christmas films of all time. So, of course, I had to pick this one. 2001, yet again, was another one that I did struggle with. But in the end, I went with Moulin Rouge. Absolutely amazing musical. It's all songs that are from artists that they did covers of. I especially loved Your Song and the title, Elephant Love Melody, that was it. I didn't even realise Ewan McGregor could sing till I watched this film. So, of course, when it came to 2001, I was just like, it's a struggle, but I had to go for this one. Then 2002, I went with Scooby-Doo. Oh my god, I loved the animated Scooby-Doo movies growing up. So, of course, as soon as I watched this one, I fell in love with this one. I think they did such an amazing casting job. Everyone was perfect for their roles. And I'm gutted we didn't get any more films with them. I know we got number 2, but I wish we got a couple more. But I like how Matthew Lillard has stayed playing Shaggy in the animated films that we've gotten recently. So, I'll give it to them. Okay, 2003, we went with Bruce Almighty. Yes! This is an absolute funny film, and I think you'll see Jim Carrey come up quite a lot in this in this list, because everybody knows that I love Jim Carrey. He's my comedic man. He's the one that's gotten me through some stuff, you know, whenever I feel down or anything like that. His films always make me laugh. So thank you very much, Jim Carrey, for being part of my life. Okay, and we go on to 2004, and I had to go with this one as soon as I saw it come up. Hellboy with Ron Perlman. Absolutely hilarious film. I really enjoyed Golden Army as well. That was quite a good film. But I always have to go with this one because it was such a fun film. One of the few comic book movies we got before the MCU became a massive thing. But at the end of the day, absolutely fun. Ron Perlman will always be my Hellboy. Don't get me wrong, David Harbour did a very good job in the remake. But for me, it will still be Ron Perlman. It will never change. Okay, so we go to 2005, and this is another year that I struggled to pick one, because with this year, there wasn't really that many that I truly enjoyed. So I went for the one that's one of my guilty pleasures, and that is Fantastic Four, the first one. I actually have a guilty pleasure for this one, because I know not many people enjoyed this version of the Fantastic Four, but I did. I think they did a very good job with this first movie. Second one is okay. But you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing Chris Evans play the Torch again. He was amazing in that role. And yeah, so with this one, 2005 was a bit of a struggle, but I did find one eventually. Now this one, 2006, was at first when I looked at the list on Letterboxd, because that's where I keep track of everything and that's where the release dates are and things like that. When it came to 2006, at first I thought, am I going to find one that I truly enjoyed? I then clicked on the next page, and that's when I found one of my favourite dance films of all time, Step Up. Yes! Step Up. I couldn't believe this came out in 2006. I was so happy to see that on the list, because I couldn't truly remember when this came out. I knew it was a 2000s film, but I couldn't remember how early on or how late it was. But Step Up is the movie that actually got me into dance at one point. There was at one point in my youth that I wanted to be a dancer. And the Step Up films were my absolute favourite franchise of dancing. And I want to do a ranking of the Step Up films because they are absolutely amazing films. But this first one, Channing Tatum, how do you say her name? Jenna D1? Dewan? I can't remember how you say her name. Them two had such amazing chemistry in this film. There's one dance scene in the club that I well and truly enjoy, and I really love the dance at the end as well. But it's not just the dancing in this, there is some emotional story in this at points as well. And if you haven't watched it, I definitely recommend watching the first one at least, because it is such a good start-off movie for a franchise that I really need to return to. But no, Step Up, as soon as I saw that was in the 2006 list, I had to do it. 2007 was an easy one, and that is Paranormal Activity. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the Blair Witch, but Paranormal Activity just for this year was absolutely amazing. And I can't get over how creeped out I was the first time I watched this film. And I think it's because with found footage, when they do it with silence, when there's no music, when it just feels like an ordinary film, that's when it creeps me out. So, of course, Power Activity had to make the list as soon as I saw it. And not gonna lie, 2007, I kind of struggled to see what else I enjoyed. But as soon as this one popped up, I had to go for it. And then 2008, we saw the start of the MCU with Iron Man. Oh my god, Iron Man is an absolutely amazing hero. I enjoyed his character development throughout the MCU. Robert Downey Jr., absolutely amazing casting for Iron Man himself. Tony Stark. If it wasn't for this film, I don't think the MCU would have existed as good as it did. Because this film was such a good start and it was an epic start to the MCU. And without Robert Downey Jr., I really think the MCU wouldn't have kicked off as much as it did. Because for me, out of the first Avengers films we got before the main Avengers film, this was my absolute favourite of them all. And it was because it was like a star casting. With some of these films, the casting is absolutely amazing. And this is definitely one of those ones. Honestly. So good. Okay, and then 2009, as soon as this popped up, I had to pick it. Zombieland. I love this film, surprisingly, even though I'm not a massive fan of zombies, because obviously it's all about the plague and some kind of virus gets out, things like that. And I'm not very good with health stuff. I freak out on stuff like that. But funnily enough, because of the comedy and the humour in this film, I actually can skip past that. And it's thanks to this film that I actually ended up watching more zombie films. So thanks to this, I watched films like Shaun of the Dead, Resident Evil, Anna the Apocalypse. There were so many zombie films I finally got to watch thanks to Zombieland. And you know what? That whole trying to find Twinkie thing, I don't know why, that's my favourite part of the film. Woody Harrelson trying to find a Twinkie. Why is that my favourite part? I don't know. But there's some really funny scenes in this film, some really amazing scenes as well. There's a scene in a shopping centre just with Woody Harrelson's character and Jesse Eisenberg's character, and it's hilarious, memorable, and I will never forget it. So thank you, Zombieland, for getting me into zombies. Okay, now we've reached the 2010s. So, in 2010, I went with Grown Ups. This is one of my guilty pleasure films. Like I've said before in the past, this is a film that I go to when I'm ill, when I'm feeling down, because I will laugh at this. Is it a good comedy? It's okay. It's not like any Jim Carrey film or anything like that for me, but I still have a good time with it. And whenever I feel down, this is my go-to film. So, as much as many people are not a massive fan of Grown Ups, I am. Especially the first one. The second one, it's okay. But I feel like the first one was definitely a good film. 2011, of course, I had to go for this one because it is part of one of my favourite vampire franchises of all time. No, it's not Twilight. It is Fright Night, the remake. This was one of my favourite remakes ever. In fact, I think it's probably my top favourite remake because they did so well with this. Remakes can be hit or miss, and especially when it comes to my favourite franchises, I get worried about remakes. Thank God for this one. It landed brilliantly. Colin Farrell as Jerry Dandridge, amazing. David Tennant as Peter Vincent, amazing. There was some really good casting in this film, and I really enjoyed it. They didn't copy and paste the original. Yes, they followed the plot, and there's a couple of scenes that they did copy, but it didn't feel like a repeat. They modernised it. They did things differently. So this is one of my absolute favourite remakes of all time. Okay, so 2012 saw our first big Avengers film, and that is Avengers Assembled. This was an epic start to the Avengers quadrilogy that we got. You will see the Avengers come up again. But this was an amazing film, and this is what helped set the MCU to have a certain tone and what made it become an epic sort of like company, whatever you want to call it, franchise, cinematic universe, whatever you want to call it. And ever since these Avengers films, everyone's tried to copy to make a big universe, like with DC and things like that. Because of this set the stone for everything. So thank you, Avengers. I'm really glad I didn't get to see it in the cinema, but at the same time, I'm really glad I have it in my collection. Okay, so 2013, I did struggle to pick one for this one as well, but I went for the one that sort of caught my eye, and that is Now You See Me. I really enjoyed the first two. I believe we're getting a third one. I think I've heard the rumours that there's a third one coming out. But I actually quite enjoyed this film. I haven't watched this in some time though, so I definitely will give this a rewatch. But I think it's a fun little magic trick show. I mean, obviously there's no like massive effects or anything like that in it, but definitely struggled to pick one for 2013, but this one really caught my eye, so I went for that. 2014, surprisingly, is only the film that I watched for the first time this year. John Wick, the first one. Yes, I only watched John Wick, the franchise, this year. So the fact that this is my favourite from 2014, especially since it's now 2023, is saying something. I really enjoyed the John Wick films. I definitely do need to do a ranking for them on my channel. But yeah, I had to, as soon as I saw this was in 2014, I had to pick it because it's an epic action film and it's all over a dog. I love it. Because I think I'd be the exact same way if I was in his shoes. But yeah, so for 2014, I had to go with John Wick. 2015 is the only Fast and Furious film in this list, and that is Fast and Furious 7. I love how this film ended the franchise for Paul Walker's character. I cried at the end, especially when the song came on and what it meant, and this was a really good film, and I actually really enjoyed this film. I definitely need to get the Fast and Furious films on physical media for myself at some point, but not sure when. But yeah, so, yeah, again, another film franchise I only watched last year. So, yeah, 2014, Fast and Furious 7. 2015, I had to go with Captain America Civil War. This was epic. This is such an epic crossover film, and it put the MCU, it split you down the middle because you wanted to be either Team Iron Man or Team Captain America. Everyone had to pick because obviously at that point it was like, whose side did you want to be on? And it's a tough one because there's so many good team members on each side. Of course, this is when we got introduced to Chadwick Boseman's character of Black Panther, and yeah, this is just, there's an epic airport scene. We also got the introduction of Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Sorry, my legs are going dead. So there was some cool introductions, team diversity, and yeah, just honestly, such an amazing film. And the next one is 2017, and as soon as, yet again, kind of like with The Scream and The Mummy, as soon as I saw it, I had to go for it. The Greatest Showman, one of my favourite musicals of all time. Just under Grease and some other ones, but it is one of my favourite modern musicals that we have gotten. Amazing from start to finish. Even just the opening, da 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 da, literally absolutely amazing opening. Costumes are amazing. The soundtrack is amazing. This Is Me is an absolutely amazing anthem. It's one of those ones that I listen to when I feel down about myself personally. Rewrite the Stars, absolutely amazing song by Zac Efron and Zendaya. Honestly, if you haven't watched this film, I seriously recommend that you do, because this is such a good film, from costumes to cinematography to the songs to the sets, everything. Seriously, give this a watch. Okay, in 2018, funnily enough, this is a film I only watched this year as well. Mission Impossible Fallout. I can't believe it took me this long to watch the Mission Impossible films. I can't speak today. I've got to do a lot of speaking in this video, apologies. But Mission Impossible Fallout. I had to pick this one because I actually really enjoy this film. Each film with the Mission Impossible films just got better and better. I will do a ranking of them, I promise. I'm just so behind on all my rankings. I will get there. But Mission Impossible Fallout, as soon as I saw this was the 2018 one, I had to go for it. 2019, of course, I had to go for the epic conclusion of the Avengers franchise, Avengers Endgame. I still have so many memories of this film. I remember going to see it literally straight after work. A group of my work colleagues were going to go. Someone dropped out. They offered me the ticket, and it was a midnight showing, 3D glasses, and oh my God, I'm so glad I got the invite. And then the next day I went to go and see it again with my sister, and funny enough, the cinema person that was on the night before saw me again. He went, "You really enjoyed this film, didn't you?" I was just like, "Yeah, I enjoyed it," but also my sister wanted to see it, so of course I had to bring her to take it and go and watch it. The cinematic experience of this was just absolutely amazing. Hearing the audience scream, yell, clap, shock, cry, so many emotions, and I'm so glad that I got to see this epic conclusion on the big screen. If I hadn't, I think I would have been gutted in myself, because this was definitely one you needed to see on the big screen. And now we're into the 2020s. So 2020, I went with Sonic the Hedgehog, Jim Carrey. I struggled to pick one for 2020 as well, because there was a few good ones, but nothing truly stood out. So I had to go with a Jim Carrey one, of course. And I think this is an absolute very good video game movie, because there's been a lot recently. But this one, I think they did an amazing job. I know we're getting Sonic 3, but Jim Carrey has retired. So I'm really hoping he decides to come back for Sonic 3, because he was just such a good Eggman. But who knows? But yes, so 2020 I had to go for Sonic. 2021, there was no way this was not going to be my pick. SpiderMan No Way Home. Oh my God. Just seeing it on the big screen, and yet again, like with Avengers Endgame, the cinematic experience with this, brilliant. Just loved hearing people's reactions, especially during a certain team up scene. I'm not saying any more than that. I know it's like a massive spoiler now, but I'm still not saying it. But this was an epic movie to end a trilogy on. I look forward to seeing what the next one's going to be like, especially with how they ended things with this. But 2021, I definitely had to go Spider-Man No Way Home. I had to. It was so good. There were so many other films that came out that year that I really enjoyed, but this one had to make the list. Okay, now we're on to 2022 and 2023, and you'll see a pattern here. Just a simple fact of 2022, I struggled to pick which one I preferred the most. And then I thought about it and I went, you know what? I actually really enjoyed this. Scream 5. I had to go with 5 Cream because this was such an epic return to the franchise. We no longer had Wes Craven to direct because obviously he'd passed away. We had new people directing this. I remember my feelings for this as soon as they announced it. I thought, oh God, Wes Craven's passed. He's not going to be part of it. It's not going to be good. Then I heard the people of Radio Silence were doing it, who'd done Ready or Not, which I truly enjoyed. And I thought, okay, I feel a bit better about this. I've got a bit more hope. Then I saw the trailer for it and I thought, oh my God, this looks amazing. Watched it and I was so happy with this. So I think they've done a really good job with this film. And of course, for right now, 2023, my favourite film, I had to go with Scream 6. Oh my God. Such an amazing sequel, and it was more tense. It felt more scary. They changed the opening scene, which I absolutely loved. It didn't feel repetitive. My only issue would be the ending, just because the simple fact of it did feel like a copycat a bit. But there are some truly amazing and tense scenes in this film. Gail Weathers finally got her first phone call with Ghostface, because technically the one in Scream 2, she didn't pick up the phone, Randy did. So this is technically their first ever call together, and I loved it. It was epic, it was tense, it was funny. Honestly, I really enjoyed Scream 6. Scream 7, I'm really hoping they do it really well, because the first 2 movies have done brilliantly. But now that I've heard that Radio Silence isn't going to be directing it, I'm a little bit concerned. I don't know where they're going to go from here, especially with Jenna Ortega. I hope she's coming back. I heard rumours she might not be because of doing Beetlejuice 2. But I really hope she does come back, because she's one of my favourite characters in this film. But I look forward to seeing where they're going to go with Scream 7. But of course, for this year so far, I had to go with Scream 7. Scream 6. I've got Scream 7 on the brain. But yeah, so for 2023, I had to go for that one. So yeah, so that's my favourite movie from each year I've been alive, part 1. this is the live action films. The next one will be the animated films, because like I said, there's too many films to choose from. I might do this yearly. Let me know in the comments, would you like this to be a yearly thing around my birthday, where I choose a different film for each year, just so you can see what kind of movie tastes I have from each year? Because obviously things like, with 2023, things like The Whale, I really enjoyed that one. Mithrigan, I really enjoyed that one. So there is a lot of films from each year that I truly enjoyed that I couldn't make the list. So let me know, would you like this to be a yearly thing? But yeah, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then do give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to this channel, then go ahead, hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell down below to be notified when I post. And also leave me your comments and thoughts on this list. What would be your list? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!